Vincent Peters was born in Bremen, Germany in 1969. At the age of 20, he moved to New York City to work as a photographer's assistant. After returning to Europe in 1995, he worked for various art galleries and on personal projects. In 1999, he began his career at Giovanni Testino's agency as a fashion photographer. Within a year, Vincent Peters shot worldwide campaigns for brands such as Miu Miu, Bottega Veneta and Wolfgang Joop. Over time, he established himself a recognizable style, and major fashion houses like La Perla, Dior, Louis Vuitton, Hugo Boss, L'Oréal, Lacoste, Guess, Laura Biagiotti, Cartier, and many others came to him as corporate clients. His photographs appear in international magazines such as Vogue, GQ, The Sunday Times, Numero, and Glamour. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the interview with Vincent Peters. Hello, coffee table book lovers, and welcome on our channel. Today we have a very special guest here, one of the greatest photographers of our time. I'm happy that he made it and that he's here with us. It's an honor. Ladies and gentlemen, Vincent Peters. How are you doing, sir?
I'm sitting on a Sunday noon in the shade in my house, so I'm very happy.
Perfect.
Good times.
Let's talk about the person behind the camera. The camera and the studio light is switched off. No more people. No more projects. No more work. You have some days off now. Tell me, please, what do you do?
I'm thinking about work.
Okay.
It's true. You don't know my story, but I was quite a troubled kid. I started more or less taking pictures when I was 11 years old. I was one of these kids in school that was very inclined already to do one thing, for one thing, that one guy does sport and the other one is in the math club and whatever, somebody goes dancing but I just never changed. So, and then I got thrown out of school because I had a bit of a problem with authority when I was younger. And I never done anything else than photography my whole life, literally since I'm 11 years old, when I started in the bathroom of my mother, she more or less, supported it, but she also said that her shampoo smells like developer afterwards. And when I was, it's a long story, but finally when I was, I think 18 years old, I left Germany with not speaking very well English. And I went to New York City to become a photo assistant. And yeah, that is just it. I've never really pursued any other direction of approaching my life, and I was lucky enough that it got me where I am. I still really love it, but if I go, when we finish this interview, I probably go, down to the beach and,
lucky
whatever, have some lunch. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to take a photo book with me, and going to look at it and going to study some pictures. That's what I do, I would, again, my idea of a good afternoon would be looking at books of photography and trying to figure out what pictures I'm going to take in Paris next week. Maybe my life is too narrow, but I'm very much obsessed. Maybe I don't know if that's the right word, but there's a connection there that's hard to break.
Let's talk a little bit about books, okay?
Yeah.
On the 22nd September, you're going to publish a new book. I believe it's your fourth book, is that right?
That is right. Okay. 3.5.
Okay. So we have Light Between Us in 2014. We have Personal in 2016 and Selected Works in 2019. The first two books were quite large in size. However, Selected Works were a little bit smaller. Now it's being re-released in a collector's edition. Please take us through and explain why did this project happen, and is there any new content in this book?
Yes and yes and yes. Honestly, how this happened is that, the old director of the editing house, Henrik, who unfortunately passed away. Those books I had, the first two books, they were very big and they were also very heavy. So sometimes there was even a logistical problem, People asked me, look, can you send me a signed copy? Like they had to send these kind of like, 2 kilo or whatever it weighs book around the world. So we did this small one and it sold out really quickly. But for me, the small one was really more to, it was also a much cheaper book. And I thought that was legitimate. But when I saw it, I had a lot of comments. People were writing me. They said, it's such a beautiful book, but it's kind of small. It's kind of it was a little bit like, I really think this new book is my best one, Like from a photographer's point of view, in the reproduction, in the way it looks, in everything, I think for me, it's like now I get it.
And you have new content in this book, you said.
I do have about I actually edit this in LA in the hotel on the wall every time they cleaned up my room. I saw the guys with the rooms. It was funny because I had all these pictures on the wall. And every time room service came in my room, we had a discussion about photography, They were like, standing there with the scrambled eggs in the morning. They were like, oh, I like this one, Are you a photographer? I saw this picture before, sir. They're all Mexican down there. It's like, bonito, very nice work, sir. Very nice. I'm like, yeah, thank you, Which one you like? You like this one? Like, me, I like this one, sir.
Great.
So me and the entire staff of the Beverly Hills were like discussing the new layout of the book.
You hold back carefully. It is difficult to acquire art from you. What are the reasons? How commercial do you want to be? It looks like quality is more important to you than quantity. Is that right? And where can I buy art from you?
You can buy art from me at Camera Works.
I will place a link up here for everyone.
You can probably call my studio if there's something specific. I mean, we're having, I think you can buy art through, I had a large retrospective at Fotografiska in Sweden. To answer your quantity question, it's the same thing. You want to somehow stay in control of that. The people they're looking at your work, that this really is your work. You can compare photography maybe to acting. You can also compare it to music. And if you're a musician, there's a good story from Paul McCartney, who said that recently when he recorded an album, and you spend so much time in the studio, like getting the trumpets and the bass really right, because you don't want them to overtake him, and you really want to touch people emotionally with what you feel, and you try to find the purest form of connecting with an emotional kind of like nerve of another person. I guess it's a bridge. It's not the art itself, it's the bridge of communicating some emotional transmitters. Anyway, so Paul McCartney says then he sits at an airport and some guy next to him has these kind of like little like cheap iPhone, something kind of like thing, and just like, and he's like, do you have any idea how long I spent in the music recording session to mix up this, and this is what you're having, out of your earphones right now? But as long as that person sits there and is sort of like been touched by it, in the end, it's hard for us, but you do have to say, who cares,
Cameras, photo art, photo books. What do you think in today's digital age? Will it increase or decrease in the future? Please, just a short answer on this.
I give you a short answer, which is obviously, I'm not that good with short answers, but remember in the 80s when everybody had these watches and they were all changing to quartz, right? It was like the new thing, and all these handmade mechanical watches, they've switched to quartz because people are always afraid in the short term that they're missing out on the thing. But then, a few years later, all these watches, if you look today, every expensive watch is back to mechanics. That is the definition of an expensive watch. Digital photography, emotionally, just as a very personal experience, it doesn't touch me, Just like computer music doesn't touch me. I rather listen to a real piano or a real violin, but it's a very personal choice. I need a real instrument to play my music. And I don't want...
Sorry, do you play an instrument?
I used to play the violin, believe it or not, yeah.
Wow.
It's been a while. But I don't want to have a violin, being mixed on the computer. It's not the same thing. It's not... You don't feel the process is different. There's a huge, you wanted a short answer, but the difference between analog and digital is a very significant part of my work.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Well, if anything goes right, I'm sitting right here talking to you, that would be that means I still take good pictures, you're still interested, and my house didn't burn down. There's a cat sleeping.
Okay.
I have actually a cat sleeping next to me.
Let's have a coffee break and walk into our virtual gallery and talk about some of your pictures. I have prepared 4 pictures to look at. So let's have a walk in. Here we are in the gallery and we have a look at 4 of your pictures. One of them, by the way, is my favorite Vincent Peters picture of all time. And maybe you can take a guess later on which one this is. But we come to that.
I want to know.
So let's start with the first one, Irina Shayk.
Irina in Madrid. They called me up, as always. They said, Irina is dating Ronaldo. I know Irina for a long time. She's been around. I shot her really when she was just starting off for Levi's campaign. She always sticked out. The girl has a body that I've never seen. You don't need to do, there's no retouching on it. You only make it worse. It's really a gift of God what this girl is carrying around with her. And somehow she started to date Ronaldo. I don't know if you remember that. And then the GQ Spain called me, and I actually had a really hard time finding a location because we shot it in Madrid. And, I wanted something, I like to counterbalance the shots a little bit. And because she's quite a glamorous girl, I wanted to have something more cinematic, a little bit like a roughness around that perfection. And we shot in this really old farm somewhere, an hour and a half outside of Madrid. And it's funny because I'm looking at this picture, but every time I ask her to do something, she was like, with these really hardcore Russian accents, she's like, these will cost you extra, Vincent. This is very expensive. You will have to pay for this.
Great.
It's always like I'm using these girls like an actress, and it's like, you can maybe say there's Hitchcock or, I have my scenario, I have you need a clarity of vision. And then I put them into my movie. And this is Irina shot by me because this is my scenario. This is in anybody else's scenario, she would look different, hopefully. And I try to put her into my movie, and the clearer I am about the role she's playing, the clearer I can direct her, visually.
Just one thing to add here, all these pictures that we see here will be in your new book release in the collector's edition. So let's move over to the second one, The Girl on the Balcony.
The Girl on the Balcony.
Yes, can you tell us a little bit about this one?
The door behind the balcony was closed. Okay. So we had to, she was literally climbing up that wall.
Oh my God.
Believe it or not. And I don't know how we got her up there, but it's higher than you think it is. And I'm standing on some wall across from it because I felt when I stand on the street, but we were just walking through the streets of Sicily. Alyssa Miller, it's true. I mean, she's actually from Los Angeles, I believe. She's definitely from California. I worked a lot with her. And again, I really do think she looks like an Italian actress. Beautiful girl. And that was actually for the Guess campaign. And it's very spontaneous, you know. Look, there's just one light hitting her, and I said, look, let's just climb up there. I don't even know if there were people sleeping at the house while we were shooting. This is in the middle of the night, you know.
In the middle of the night?
That's at least at like 11, 12 o'clock at night. And I just said, look, let's shut it up at the balcony. And we were always worried that the people inside the balcony are going to wake up and going to throw us out before I got the shot, you know. But I really love that picture. You know?
So did she ask for more money as well because she needed to climb
No,
up?
Alyssa she's more introverted. She doesn't talk that much. She's more like looking around, you know.
Vincent, we have a guy here, Christian Bale, a big one. Tell us a little bit about him.
Very intense guy. It's very difficult to shoot men. At least for me, because I'm more comfortable with women. I'm not really a guy's guy. I don't really drink beer or go play pool so much, you know. And when you shoot a guy, like it's me and Christian Bale the whole day. I mean, apart from the fact that, you know, he's a very acclaimed, worldwide movie star, you have to make conversation with a stranger that is somehow interesting enough that this guy keeps up the interest. Because if he says at 1 o'clock, you know what, I think you got it, you know, and I got another interview this afternoon. I mean, you go. I mean, he calls the shots. When he wants to go, he goes, you know. So you have to have enough interesting conversation. And when you shoot a man, they're not comfortable posing for you. They don't like it. Most guys, you know, look at Robert De Niro. They hate taking press, you know. The big guys, Pacino, I think part of them, at least in the 70s, I mean, also I think they missed out on something because they put in the contract that they don't have to do press pictures. Shooting Christian Bale, we talked most of the day actually about Germany because he just we did a movie with a German director when I shot him. I thought he wanted to talk about Batman, but he wanted to talk about a movie about Vietnam he did with a guy called Werner Herzog, you know? And he was really interested in that. And I think the luck I had is that I was German and he somehow connected with me and Werner. And he liked to talk about that sort of like an art house movie, you know. But he's definitely, he's a very intense kind of person and you have very little time to get this done. So because, you know, for me, I look at the lighting and I look at the composition. I'm not a very fast shooter.
The last picture, it's the favorite picture from my mom. She really loves that picture. Please.
Oh, interesting.
Please tell me the story about this one.
The picture's taking 10 meters, 3 away from, it was sunset. It was for German Vogue. Malgozio was very nice. She was in Ibiza for a few days. I think she was staying here at the house and we were just basically, you know, the editors came and we took some pictures before and we took some pictures after. It was a very loose way of shooting, you know. It's very comfortable. It's hard to do that today, you know. But we were sort of friends back in the day and I lost a little bit sight of what she's doing right now. I think she wanted also to make movies. But back in the day, I worked with her quite a bit. And as you see, we were just experimenting. This is a literal double exposure. This is actually a Polaroid.
Okay.
So I was taking a picture with her against the sunset, and then I was taking another picture of her face, you know, and I just put them, you know, and it just, you know, obviously they just blend together in the camera.
Which one do you believe is my number one?
All right, let it out. It's not Malgozia because that's your mom.
Girl.
The balcony girl.
Yeah, it is absolute. Oh my God. We have a couple of questions from our coffee table book loungers who have sent questions over video. I will now play the videos for you individually, and if you don't mind, could you please answer them?
Hi, Mr. Peters. This is Jocke from Sweden. My question to you is about that ballet girl that we have seen from selected works and even before in personal. I really want to know the story behind this photo session. And I must say, I admire your work very much and hope to see you soon back in Stockholm. So take care. Ciao.
Yeah, the ballet girl actually changed my life. Funny that he points that out. The ballet girl is Sonja van Heber, and I shot Sonja for Italian Vogue in New York. And I ran into her in Paris in the street. and she was like, you know, I'm in Paris for a few days. You want to take some pictures? And I was like, I don't really do just take pictures, you know. I wouldn't really know what to do. She's like, oh, come on, let's just do something, you know. We can just do some, like, you know, we don't have any clothes, you know, we can do some nudes. And I was like, And I was thinking for a moment, I'm a photographer. I should just take pictures. But there was no assignment, there was no demand, there was no reason to take these shots. So I went into next to where I was staying back in the day, there was this old theater. And I asked them if I could take some shots there. And they said, yeah, you know, you can do it between like 7 and 11 in the morning until we sort of like walked in. And so these shots have been taken very early, around like 8 o'clock or something in the morning light. And I really loved those pictures. I loved Sonia's body because it's very timeless. She's not like one of these really like super thin Victoria's Secret girls, but it reads something about, you know, there's just something like a sense of a woman that I really like to show in my pictures. It's not so much about the ballet, but what it actually showed me a lot more is that I can take pictures, I should take pictures without an assignment, without somebody asking me for it, or without me having a specific sense of publication. And I learn a lot from it, and I take a lot from it. And every picture is just a preparation for the next one. So this was my first sort of like, let's say, really personal work. And it worked out. And look, it's the cover of my book. It's one of the most recognizable shots, I think, from me. And it teaches me something else, because she's not a celebrity, you know. It's just a very beautiful woman that resonated with that moment, and that it just sort of like blended together. So it teaches me a lot about how to work from then on.
Hello, my name is Ollie, I'm from Scotland, and I have a couple of questions for you, Vincent. So the first one is, I'm really intrigued to find out what you find beautiful. And the second question for me would be, a lot of the images that I have seen, the subjects tend not to smile. And really the question is, why? Thank you.
I think in general, what we find beautiful as a larger scale, or what I recognize as being beautiful, is something that makes you less alone in this world. Something that is being a part of something that is bigger than you in this, and I think then it defines itself through an aesthetic sense. I think that's why we like sunsets, maybe nature, the mountains, or maybe even a person, because there's something there that somehow that somehow is bigger than what we are. The people who are coming to me, I think, you know, they have a certain trust, and I think your general point of view is to show them there is a certain kind connection between us. It's a significant part, and if that beauty is a part of it, that helps to create a certain sense of kindness. Every photographer can maybe define some word where he said, what is really driving you, you know, and it's true. My ambition probably would be to adapt to a certain kindness. And if kindness visually, aesthetically, kindness translates into showing somebody in a rather beautiful light, because I think it communicates something different, then that's definitely what I'm trying to do. Why my people are not smiling? Because, you know, maybe that's because I started in fashion photography, and my education to a smile was not a real smile. My access to smiling pictures was a forced and a paid smile. So, you know, a selling smile. And there was no honesty or dignity in it. And I was always rather responding to women and to men in that sense, who are capable and have the capacity to share their struggle with us, you know, and their conflicts. Because for me, it was more authentic. And I just shot this picture of Adriana Lima where she's crying, and it's really touching to me. it's not because I explore her sadness. I just think it shows everything we go through, the ups and downs and the complexity of the human condition. So the reason why my women are not smiling is because, again, in fashion or in photography, a smile is often not genuine. And I think what's a lot harder if you shoot a portrait of a person is to show their the complexity of the human condition. And that would be something that I'm more interested in, you know.
Hi, I'm Simon from Germany, and I'm pleased to have one more question for you, Vincent. If you had to choose one single photo to summarize the essence of your work, which would it be and why? Thank you.
Good question. Well, you know what? That's always a very difficult one to answer. We get that question, you know, but if you answer this question, it makes an orphan of all the others. And it's like asking a mother who's your favorite child. As a photographer, you know that every picture you take is a dialogue with mortality. Every picture you take is a moment that will be gone and will not come back. It's a small death in your life, and you hold on to it and you're collecting it. But it's also, as much as by the moment you're holding on to it, you're admitting to it that all of this life will just run through your fingers like sand, you know, that is impossible to hold on to. And all of these pictures are also moments in my life that I remember that they are gone. There's a very beautiful book written by Marcel Proust, Les Recherches de Temps Perdu, The Search of Lost Time. And it defines your memory and the past as the true sense of reality, because he says in the moment, we're not really able to understand and to process what we're living, because we're too guided by different priorities. We're hungry, we have to go somewhere. Only in our memories, we're really able to live those moments that we had. And he says something very beautiful in that book. He says that all of us have undeveloped films in the dark room of our minds. We try to hold on to a moving train because time is moving forward. And I think photography just holds it right in that edge, you know. There is the, like I said, there is this dialogue with our own life that is passing right in front of our eyes, you know, and it's just getting less. And we have this need to get more life. There's a beautiful line in the Blade Runner movie when one of the robots meets his creator, and he's grabbing him and he says, "I want more time, fucker." And that's what photography really is, you know. It's an outcry that we want more time and we want to relive the time that we had, you know.
Please explain to me your most favorite places in the world and why.
Well, I definitely, you know, feel in peace here where I'm right now on the island. I'm in Ibiza on my terrace. I very much love being in LA because, you know, you deeply, LA is like Egypt or Rome for cinematography. I mean, every time you turn over a stone, you discover some history of Hollywood, you know. I'm very interested in that. I also really love Paris for the lyrical side it has, you know, for the poetry it has when you're there, you know.
What about Bremen, your birthplace?
It's definitely a conflict there. I don't think the people there, I don't know, I don't think they understand me, and I don't think I understand them. And I think there is a conflict that they feel that I'm arrogant, and I feel that they're rejecting me to a certain point, but we don't really find together, you know. And I suffered the summer when the football club went down to the second league, you know. It was a sad moment in my life.
Can you tell us one of your most hilarious stories you have ever experienced, private or work, doesn't matter?
I can tell you a longer story. I had this huge breakup with one of my girlfriends during the shoot of the U2 shoot. You want me to tell you the whole story?
Of course, go ahead.
You have time for that?
Of course, we have time for that.
Okay. Well, if you want to have a personal story, okay. So check this out. So I'm dating this girl from Los Angeles, and I'm living in London at the time. So it was always difficult to see each other, and we didn't meet very often. And it was always like, are you going to come to me? Am I going to come to you? Anyway, it was a lot of arguments. So, I got this job to shoot U2 in Miami. And I called her and I said, look, why don't you just meet me in Miami? And she was Latina, she was Mexican, so she had a temper. So I said, why don't you fly down to Miami and we kind of meet in the middle and we talk how to move this thing forward, And she was like, okay, great, no problem. So we meet in Miami and I arrive at night, and the next morning there was the shoot with U2. And U2, I mean, if you shoot rock bands, it's a different level. I mean, they're big, they're really big. It's not like shooting one person. It's, it is really what you think it is, Anyway, so me and my girlfriend arguing in this hotel room the whole night, because obviously also I'm jet lagged and I can hardly open my eyes. So at like 9 in the morning, now let's say around 8 in the morning, I tell her, look, I'm dead and I have to go to the shoot. She's like, I'm not finished. I'm like, her name was Alexandra. We're good friends right now. So I'm like, look, Alex, I'm gonna have to go to the studio right now. I got the band waiting. She's like, if you go to the studio right now, I'm not finished with you. If your job is always more important than me, this thing is over. So I'm like, Alex, this is not fair. I got U2 waiting in the studio. This is why I'm here. They pay for my trip. She's like, you leave that door. You never talk to me again. I'll be gone. But I guarantee you. I'm like, Alex, I got Bono waiting in the studio in 30 minutes. I gotta go. I can't do this right now. So I go, and she slams the door so hard that I was asking at reception how much it cost to replace the door from the hotel room. Finally, after the shoot, and I call Alexandra in the hotel, and I'm like, Alex, are you still in Miami? Because I'm done. Maybe if you want, we can continue the conversation. She's like, yeah, I couldn't get a flight. You'll be here in 15 minutes. I'll wait for you. I'm like, I love you. I'll be right there. And in that moment, this huge car drops in front of me and the door opens up and I'm like, wow, who's that? And it's Bono with the whole band. And they're like, hey, you want to hop into the car? We're going to have a drink down in Wynwood, sorry. I'm like, you got to be kidding. I'm like, yeah. So I get into the car. It's me and Edge and Bono and all of these guys. And I'm sitting there like this and I'm thinking, all right. So we go to this cafe and the guitar player, Edge, really nice guy. So we're having this conversation. And while we're having this conversation, I'm texting my girlfriend. I'm like, Alex, please don't get mad, but I'm having a coffee with U2 in Wynwood. It's a moment of my life. Let me have this. Right? And I'm not going to repeat to you the answer from her, but it wasn't very polite. And I'm like, Alex, it's one of these things. Please understand, she's whatever. So we're sitting there and we're having this coffee. And after like 2 hours, 3 hours, we're sitting there for a long time. Bono is like, oh man, guys, I'm hungry. Let's go for dinner. And they're like, Vincent, you want to come for dinner? I'm like, guys, I'm having a divorce as we speak. My girlfriend is in a hotel room. She really wants to argue with me. And I would love to have dinner with you guys. And Bono is like, man, no problem. We just pick her up on the way. Just bring her with us. I'm like, are you serious? Like, yeah, we just cruise by the hotel. You run upstairs, you get her, and we go for dinner. No problem. Let's do that. I'm like, that's so kind. Thank you so much. So we drive to the hotel. I got, these guys more or less waiting in the car. At least I think, I run upstairs. I run to the hotel room. I open the door. My girlfriend is laying naked in bed, scratching her head. I'm like, Alex, I know what you're going to say, but you got to get dressed in 15 seconds. I got the band downstairs waiting in the car. please don't argue with me. I cannot make them wait. And what is a woman saying at this moment when you enter that?
I have no idea. What did she say?
I got nothing to wear. I'm not coming. And my hair is not done. I'm like, Alex, you look so beautiful with the ponytail. I pulled up this dress. I was like, we argue all night, but don't do it right now. You know, they're waiting outside the hotel. You know, it's a fucking rock band. Don't do this to me. So, you know, so she's like really pissed off, but she's doing these things with her hair and she's coming. And then so we down like, you know, like this with the guys in the car, and, you know, me and Alexandra looking next to each other like Angela Merkel and Vladimir Putin, you know, like not talking to each other. And then, you know, funny story, you know, at some point, you know, so we're all eating, you know, and at some point Bono stands up and, you know, he like knocks on the glass and everybody quiets down. And he's like, Vincent really wants to tell you guys a story. And I'm like, you know, I'm like eating. I'm like, what? I have nothing to say. And he's like, yes, please tell them the story you told me in the studio. So the story was that when I was living in Hamburg and I was like 16, 17 years old, Joshua Tree from U2 just came out. And because I got thrown out of school, I was basically at home all morning, cleaning up the house, doing whatever, you know, and singing with my really heavy German accent, U2 songs. And my landlord decided because of that to throw me out, because he says, you know, I don't know what you're doing, but, you know, your singing is a disaster for the entire building. And you're singing like an idiot. So he literally threw me out because I was singing U2 songs. And because I got thrown out, I had no money, I had no job, I had nothing. I couldn't get another apartment because that apartment was rented also by some girlfriend. That was the reason, more or less, why I went to New York and became a photographer, because I didn't have any place to stay. And I thought, okay, if I don't find anything in Hamburg, I might as well go to New York. So that sort of like made me become a photographer. And I told that story to Bono, and he thought that was so funny that he wanted me to tell that story to everybody, you know. So more or less, that was definitely one of the funniest nights in my life.
Unbelievable. I think what an experience, you know. Let's play the book launch quickies before we come to an end. I will ask 30 questions with 2 choices. Please answer in 1 word.
Okay.
Okay? Are you ready?
Okay. I'm ready.
Beer or wine?
No alcohol.
Pepsi or Coke?
No sugar drinks.
Okay, if you would choose the 0 variant, Pepsi or Coke?
Coke.
McDonald's or Burger King?
Oh, you're really giving me the junk food thing. Burger King.
Ice cream or cake?
Cake.
Classic music or pop?
Classic.
Cinema or TV?
Cinema.
Books or movies?
Movies.
Rambo or Rocky?
Rocky.
Prince or Michael Jackson?
Prince.
Photo art or paints in your house?
Paints.
Picasso or Michelangelo?
Ooh, that's a rough one. Picasso.
Helmut Newton or Peter Lindbergh?
Helmut Newton.
iOS or Android?
I hardly know the difference. Else.
Text or calls?
Calls.
Flying or cruises?
Flying.
Mercedes or BMW?
Porsche.
Okay. Fast driving or tempo limit?
I know. You know what I want to say, but it's the head against the heart. You know, I like very fast driving.
London or New York?
New York.
Home or travel?
Depends on the day. Hard to say. If I'm home for 3 days, home. Travel. If I'm traveling for 3 days, home.
Adventure or beach holiday?
Adventure.
Hiking or jogging?
Jogging.
Apartment or house?
A house is bigger, a lot more to clean up, but I would take the house.
Work or leisure?
Work.
Cats or dogs?
Cats.
Daytime or nighttime?
Evening time. Nighttime.
Party or romantic dinner?
Romantic dinner for sure.
Lips or hands?
Wow. Can I choose both? Okay, I go for lips.
Short hair or long hair?
Always in between. Romy Schneider. I go for long hair.
Love or lust?
Love, for sure.
Okay, now a drum roll here. This is the last question. Take your time. I give you 5 seconds.
Okay.
Sex or photography?
Photography.
Okay, great answer. Well, Vincent, thank you for your time and answering all our questions.
Thank you for asking them. Interesting conversation.
We have prepared a little surprise for our audience. We would like to initiate a contest, and you, Vincent, agreed to sign a book for us and pass it on to our viewers. So guys, if you want to win this book, have a look at our channel in a few days. We will explain how to get it. Vincent, thanks again. It was a real pleasure. Time flies so fast. I could do this for hours with you.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for watching, guys. Take good care, everyone. Bye bye.